You still look good and holily fly, I'm telling you. Well, I don't want to put you on the spot.
I never believed I was better than anyone. The words sounded calm, almost gentle, but the storm surrounding them was anything but gentle. For decades, her voice had filled churches, arenas, and television screens across America. People called her the First Lady of Gospel. Her songs had comforted grieving families, lifted tired communities, and carried messages of faith to millions. But suddenly, the same woman who had spent a lifetime preaching honesty found herself at the center of a scandal that spread across the internet like wildfire. The year was 2018. Rumors started quietly, a few leaked documents, some suspicious headlines, whispers that nobody could ignore. Then the numbers appeared. $2.3 million. According to online claims, that money had been taken from church funds. Social media exploded. Strangers debated her character. Critics questioned her faith. For someone whose entire life had been built on trust, the accusations felt like a public trial. Yet the controversy didn't appear out of nowhere. It began years earlier, quietly, with the foundation of her personal and family life. In 2014, she lost the man who had stood beside her for more than 30 decades, her husband, Bishop Harold Ivory Williams. Grief alone would have been enough to destabilize anyone, but grief was only the beginning. Soon after his funeral, a family conflict erupted over property, money, and leadership inside the church. His own children challenged decisions that involved millions of dollars in assets, decisions that Shirley had overseen faithfully. What started as a private disagreement slowly escalated, attracting attention from journalists, bloggers, and social media users who shared every detail without understanding the full story. Headlines twisted the narrative. By the time people looked for answers, the scandal had grown legs of its own. What started as a personal family issue became a public spectacle, a trial in the court of opinion, where truth and rumor collided. And while some expected Shirley Caesar to crumble under the weight of public scrutiny, she remained composed, quietly fighting to protect her reputation, her ministry, and her faith. The full truth behind the accusations would eventually emerge, but in those months, her legacy, carefully built over decades, faced its toughest test yet. The world watched as a gospel legend navigated one of the most painful chapters of her life. Long before the fame, the awards, and the scandals, Shirley Ann Caesar was just a little girl growing up in Durham, North Carolina. Born on October 13, 1938, she entered a household brimming with life, love, and music. Money was scarce, but the house overflowed with something even more powerful: faith and song. 13 children lived under one roof, and nearly every corner echoed with the harmonies of gospel music. Her father, known as Big Jim Caesar, spent long hours in the tobacco factory. Yet when the day ended, he transformed into a preacher, a singer, and the leader of a traveling gospel group. The family home often became a rehearsal space, drawing neighbors to the windows to listen to the melodic energy that spilled into the street. For young Shirley, music was more than entertainment. It was a way to communicate, to dream, and to survive. She watched her father carefully, every note, every rhythm, every soulful expression, and absorbed lessons about faith, resilience, and leadership. By the age of 8, her voice was already turning heads in local churches. Congregations were stunned that such a small girl could carry so much emotion and power. But just as her life seemed full of promise, tragedy struck. In 1950, her father collapsed from a sudden seizure and died, leaving 13 children and a mother struggling with limited mobility to survive on their own. The joyful music of the household fell silent, and the weight of responsibility landed on young Shirley's shoulders. She carried guilt alongside grief, believing she had somehow caused her father's death. Despite the pain, life demanded action. Her mother, Hallie Caesar, faced the impossible task of raising 13 children alone. Shirley quickly learned that survival required courage, discipline, and determination. She stepped into a new reality where childhood joys were replaced with responsibilities, caring for siblings, cooking meals, cleaning the house. Yet even in the darkness, the seeds of her remarkable voice were growing. Every challenge became a lesson, every obstacle a stage on which she honed her extraordinary talent, preparing her for the path that lay ahead. After her father's death, Shirley's childhood disappeared almost overnight. While other children played outside and laughed freely, she took on adult responsibilities. She cooked meals, cleaned the house, and cared for her younger siblings, understanding that survival depended on each member of the family contributing whatever they could. Yet despite the weight of responsibility, she discovered a sanctuary, the church. Every time she stepped onto the small wooden stage, opened her mouth and sang, people stopped. They listened, not casually, not politely. They listened with awe and tears. Her voice carried a depth that seemed far beyond her years, an emotional resonance that moved congregations across the Carolinas. Invitations began to arrive from churches asking for that little Caesar girl. By 10, she was already traveling with gospel groups and performing in revival meetings. Then came an opportunity that would take her talent even further: television. Evangelist Leroy Johnson invited Shirley to appear on his religious broadcast, a program that reached multiple states and made her voice recognizable across communities. Audiences began calling her Baby Shirley. By 13, she had recorded her first song, I'd Rather Have Jesus, which quickly spread in gospel circles. At a time when the segregated South offered few opportunities to young black girls, Shirley Caesar was already building a reputation for talent, discipline, and an emotional connection that transcended age, race, and circumstance. Talent alone could not account for her rise. It was the combination of discipline, faith, and the weight of her responsibilities that gave her performances their extraordinary depth. She was no longer just a child prodigy. She was a rising gospel star, destined to become one of the most influential voices in the history of the genre. Yet even with recognition and talent, she would soon face decisions that tested whether her early success could truly transform into a lifelong legacy. By the time Shirley reached her late teens, she faced a crossroads: pursue formal education or follow the spiritual call that had guided her since childhood. She enrolled in college to study business, hoping for stability, but her heart kept pulling her back towards music. Then, one day, during a routine typing exam, she heard someone call her name. She looked around, but no one had spoken. That evening, while resting in her dorm room, the experience repeated, this time clearer and more compelling. She had been called to preach. At just 19, Shirley Caesar made a life-changing decision. She approached Albertina Walker, the formidable leader of the gospel group The Caravans, a group already renowned for producing legendary gospel artists. Walker was cautious but intrigued. When Shirley sang for her, the young woman's talent and emotional depth were undeniable. Within days, Shirley Caesar became a member of The Caravans. Almost immediately, her performances drew attention. She didn't just sing, she preached between verses, connecting with audiences in ways that felt personal and transformative. Some group members initially found her style unconventional, but the crowds adored it. Night after night, churches and auditoriums filled with people moved by the storytelling power of her music. Shirley Caesar wasn't simply performing, she was redefining what it meant to be a gospel artist. Her presence on stage inspired other young singers, and her reputation for emotional authenticity began spreading beyond church walls. This period cemented the foundation of her career, showing that faith, talent, and courage could combine to create a voice capable of shaping the future of gospel music. Shirley's dedication, discipline, and fearless embrace of her calling would guide her through every challenge yet to come, proving that greatness often emerges from the courage to step into the unknown.
By the mid-1960s, Shirley Caesar had achieved stability within the Caravans. She was respected, her concerts were well attended, and her name carried weight within the gospel community. Yet despite this security, Shirley felt an undeniable pull toward independence. In 1966, after nearly a decade with the group, she made a daring decision that shocked many. She left. No backup plan, no guaranteed success, just faith in her calling. She formed the Shirley Caesar Singers, a group built entirely around her vision and passion for gospel music. The early years were difficult. Members came and went, concerts were unpredictable, and financial instability threatened to derail her mission on a regular basis. Some weeks involved grueling travel schedules. Other weeks brought uncertainty about whether there would even be a performance. Yet Shirley refused to quit. She believed in her message and her voice. Slowly, her audience expanded, drawn to the authentic emotion she poured into every song. Then, in 1972, the turning point arrived. Her rendition of Put Your Hand in the Hand captured the hearts of listeners nationwide. It was more than a song. It was a story, an experience that left audiences both moved and inspired. The recording climbed the gospel charts, gaining widespread recognition. Finally, the crowning achievement came, her first Grammy Award. For Shirley Caesar, it represented more than professional validation. It was affirmation that the risk, the sacrifice, and the unwavering faith had been worth it. From that moment, her path was clear. She would continue to expand her reach, refine her artistry, and inspire generations through both her music and her ministry. The foundation she built in those challenging years would allow her to navigate fame, controversy, and personal trials, all while leaving an indelible mark on gospel music. By the late 1970s, Shirley Caesar had become more than a singer. She was a force of nature in gospel music. Her performances were not merely concerts, they were immersive spiritual experiences where music intertwined seamlessly with sermons, lessons, and heartfelt encouragement. When Shirley stepped onto the stage, audiences did more than listen, they participated. One moment she would sing a hymn with such power that it seemed to lift people from their seats. The next, she would pause and speak directly to the audience about faith, family, perseverance, and the daily struggles of life. That connection extended beyond live performances. Her recordings, infused with the same emotional authenticity, reached homes, radios, and churches far beyond North Carolina. One of her most celebrated recordings, No Charge, told the story of a young boy who handed his mother a bill for household chores. The mother responded by listing everything she had done for him since birth, each act ending with the words, "No charge." The song resonated nationwide, highlighting parental sacrifice and love in a way that transcended gospel music and touched the hearts of families across the country. Mainstream radio picked up the track, bringing Shirley Caesar to a broader audience. Awards followed as recognition for her talent and impact. Grammy Awards, Dove Awards, Stellar Awards, each accolade affirmed what fans had long believed. Shirley Caesar was a transformative figure in gospel music. By the 1990s, she had officially earned the title many already called her, the First Lady of Gospel. Yet as her career soared, her personal life was evolving alongside it. Marriage, ministry, and the church became central pillars in her journey, shaping both her greatest triumphs and her most profound challenges. Her career wasn't simply about success, it was about using her voice to uplift, inspire, and transform communities through music, faith, and relentless dedication. Shirley Caesar's legacy in gospel music was no longer a promise, it had become reality. For over 3 decades, Shirley Caesar and Bishop Harold Ivory Williams built their ministry together. Their church in Raleigh was more than a place of worship. It was a community hub, offering food programs, clothing drives, and support for families facing economic hardships. Their work touched thousands, and their leadership inspired countless congregants. Then, in 2014, the foundation of that partnership shifted dramatically when Bishop Williams passed away. Shirley Caesar faced a grief that could have overwhelmed anyone, yet she persevered, continuing to serve her community and lead her congregation. Soon, another challenge emerged: legal disputes over church property and finances raised by her late husband's children. Private family disagreements suddenly spilled into public view. Rumors gained momentum online, culminating in 2018 with viral accusations claiming millions of dollars had vanished from church accounts. The allegations spread like wildfire, prompting social media debates and headlines questioning her integrity. For someone who had devoted her life to preaching honesty, the public scrutiny was painful and deeply personal. Yet the facts told a different story. Independent audits revealed that nearly every dollar had been properly allocated to church and community programs. And in many cases, Shirley Caesar had contributed her own money to support church initiatives. Despite the truth, the damage of false accusations lingered. In the digital age, rumors often travel faster than reality, leaving reputations vulnerable even after vindication. The experience was a stark reminder of the challenges that come with public life, no matter how righteous one's intentions. For Shirley, it became another test of resilience, faith, and character. She emerged determined to continue her ministry, proving that integrity, patience, and service could withstand even the harshest storms. The experience left scars, yes, but it also showcased the unwavering strength of a woman whose life had always been dedicated to uplifting others. Even amid controversy, her voice and her message refused to be silenced. Even in her 80s, Shirley Caesar remained a vibrant force in gospel music. Singing, preaching, and serving became not just her profession, but her lifelong mission. In 2016, an unexpected moment introduced her to a new audience. A clip from her performance of Hold My Mule went viral online, transforming a sermon line about beans, greens, potatoes, and tomatoes into the You Name It challenge. Millions of people, many of them younger viewers who had never explored gospel music, discovered her voice, her energy, and her humor. Unlike many artists who might have resisted internet fame, Shirley embraced it with joy. She laughed, encouraged participation, and celebrated that music could bring happiness across generations. Even after health challenges, hospital visits, and decades of public scrutiny, she remained steadfast, returning to the stage with unwavering passion. Her belief was simple yet profound. As long as she could speak, she could serve. Shirley Caesar's legacy extends far beyond awards or chart-topping songs. More than 11 Grammy Awards, countless honors, and decades of ministry testify to her influence. But the true measure of her life is found in the millions of lives she has touched. She inspired generations of gospel artists, showing them that faith, talent, and dedication could create lasting impact. Her songs continue to uplift those facing hardship, offering hope, encouragement, and joy. From small church stages to viral online moments, Shirley Caesar has demonstrated that music is not only entertainment, but a vehicle for love, resilience, and spiritual connection. Her voice refuses to fade, echoing across generations, proving that authenticity, service, and heart can leave a legacy far greater than fame alone.